Everybody needs to make YouTube videos about it. Everybody needs to send our article out. We're going to be beefing it up. Hashtag Stop Ebola Strike. National strike to force Obama to block West African flights. Starts Monday, goes through next Wednesday. If they haven't acted, it goes right through Friday. I don't know if it's going to be successful. That's up to you. Roger, you were getting into fluoride. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm talking about transfer factors. And when I used to work as a distributor for 4Life Research, I learned that these transfer factors, which are patented, you can find them in the physician desk reference in the first page of the supplements. And they're proven to elevate your defenses by 487%. And every time I would go to the doctor's office and bring up this conversation about it, they would just toss me aside or rush me out right away. And that's when I started noticing that this got to be something important about these transfer factors. And I've been taking them for 3 years. And also, I feel.
Are you talking about key enzyme? I mean, that's the kind of stuff.
Transfer factors that come from the colostrum of the milk of a cow.
Yes.
And from the egg yolk of the chicken. Now, this stuff is well known and documented that they use it in Russia. The Russian Health Ministry actually mandated by law that every clinic, anyone that steps foot in clinics out there needs to take these transfer factors because there's a lot of sicknesses and diseases inside clinics and hospitals.
No, I was aware of that. I was aware of that. Great point. We'll look into that, transfer factors. Thank you so much for that tip. Great info, Roger. John in California, you're on the air.
Accepting my call. Former Lieutenant Commander, Navy here, also a nursing supervisor at Folsom, a big maximum security prison in California.
Oh, yeah.
Just got word that we're to start training in preparation of Ebola patient potential. We've been referred to the CDC sites, treatment modalities, protective clothing. My point is they wouldn't be doing this if they didn't think there was a chance that the shit's going to hit the proverbial fan. Other than that, your strike is a great idea. A lot of us medical types listen to you. For crying out loud, let's let all the medical people and your audience know that we need to honor this strike because we're going to be on the front line when this gets out of control, and we need to stand firm.
We need the nursing unions, the police unions, the EMT unions. I mean, you guys, the prison people, it's going to be living hell if we don't contain this. I mean, you guys are really going to be the highest level of infected. Look how it's nurses right now. So, I mean, that's why we're doing the strike. And I know we're organizing it quick. I should have done it earlier. I don't know why nobody else is doing it, but thank you for helping us. We're going to just try to get people organized as best we can.
Let's get rid of this politically correct Obama policy. It's crazy. It's insane. And I'm a psychiatric nurse. It's insane.
What do you think's going on? Because it really is insane. Why would they hire an Ebola czar who has no medical history, no medical training?
Well, that's a good question, but I think it's probably because they have no medical training, and they'll get spoon-fed whatever propaganda the administration wants to put out.
No, I totally agree with you. You know, I want to keep taking phone calls here, but I've got to go shoot something for the news. I want to talk to John in Ohio, says they're Director of Infectious Disease, Airborne. We've got Ron. We've got Scott. We got a lot of calls I want to go to. Does David Knight want to come sit in here for 30 minutes and maybe take some of these calls? Because I've got to go, but I want to keep taking these calls. Listen, caller from Folsom Prison. Thank you for calling. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on, but that train keeps a-coming, and that's what tortures me. I think I just butchered Johnny Cash's song. We're going to see if David Knight wants to come in. We can have a long intro and get to a few more of your calls, 800-259-9231. I'm going to go work with Watson on this strike story because he got it out, did a great job, and I want to beef it up. I got the nightly news I need to shoot. So I'll see you back this Sunday, Lord willing, 4 to 6 p.m. from Texas. David is coming up. Don't hang up, folks.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and Alex had to take care of some business, some previous commitments, so I wanted to take your phone calls here. We just had someone that I would very much like to talk to that hung up, John in Ohio. John, if you want to call back, we're going to try to take calls through the end of this segment, so we've got about another 12 minutes or so. So we might be able to get to if you want to call back. But let's go right now to Ron in Canada. Ron?
Hi there.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, buddy. Good. Can I ask you a question about geopolitics?
Sure.
I just wanted you to explain it because I heard that they're using it to create World War III.
You want me to explain geopolitics?
Right.
Let's see, how much time we got here? Well, what we see is a revival of the Cold War, and there's absolutely no reason for it. We were the aggressors in that area. I think that's probably what you're talking about when you talk about World War III. Of course, we've also seen the plan to take down multiple Mideastern countries. Syria was on the map. Iran is on the map. General Wesley Clark had mentioned that. He gave us the list. We see this list being walked down sequentially. It's that type of thing, of course, but it's also a consolidation of power. But there's different power groups. I mean, it's a very, just listen to the program, you'll get it. But I can't give you a breakdown on the whole topic here in just a couple of minutes. Did you have a question?
Yes. Is Obama using geopolitics, do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
something that he...
Yeah, that's absolutely the strategy. I mean, if you look at the techniques that have been going back to, and this is both parties. I mean, we've had Henry Kissinger that was essentially running Richard Nixon, and then we had Zbigniew Brzezinski come in with Jimmy Carter. I mean, they're essentially, these guys have created organizations like the CFR. They work through Bilderberg. They work through all these different globalist organizations. And so, yeah, they use that. They can call it any number of different labels.
So I just want to mention the International Monetary Fund also has certain policies in place as well, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, I want to move on because I want to get some of these comments on Ebola. That's really what we wanted to talk to about to people today that are hanging. We got a lot of people who wanted to call in about Ebola. Thanks for calling, Ron. Let's go to Nick in Connecticut. Nick, go ahead.
Hi. How you doing, Dave?
Doing fine. Thanks for calling.
I didn't want to talk about Ebola. I just wanted to mention something real quick on silver.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy he ran a blog for 15 years named Harvey Organ.
Mm-hmm.
Google just removed his blog and said it was because of a court order. Now, about a month ago, he was on a alt news website called USA Watchdog, where he said what Harvey Organ does is he specializes in looking at the physical amounts worldwide of like how much silver and gold, like the physical amount of it, or is and how it's traded.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the Shanghai Express in mid to late November this year, coming up, is going to run out of physical silver. So the only, and that's where China gets most of its silver right now, physically, which they use in industry and all that, is from the Shanghai Express, the Shanghai Exchange. So when that runs out, the only place they can go to get physical is in the COMEX. And if you know anything about the COMEX, you know they don't have anything.
Well, I understand. I mean, I've been looking at this myself, too, for a long time. We look at things that are precious metals or things that actually in the Constitution were supposed to be our money, silver and gold. That was how the dollar was defined. It wasn't in a fiat currency. Nevertheless, they can use these fiat currencies to suppress market. So even though the supply is shrinking, that doesn't mean that they can't rig the market. And they've done that in the past with both silver and with gold. So it's difficult to predict that based on just looking at quantities that are extant out there. But, of course, if people are concerned about it, what's going on with Ebola, people might start hoarding all types of things. They might even hoard them for health purposes because silver has some connections with disinfectant. It's been a very reliable disinfectant for a very long time. Let's move on to Andrew in Illinois. Thank you, Nick. Andrew in Illinois. Go ahead.
I was watching your show and I noticed that Ebola is surfacing as lasting longer. Dana Lish show today, she revealed that in Minnesota, epidemiologists came forward that it can survive for several days on a hard, dry surface.
Yeah, I'm seeing different information about that. As a matter of fact, one of the stories that was linked on Drudge to the Weekly Standard, they were talking about a much, much longer period of time that it could survive on surfaces. They said the reason they're washing stuff down with chlorine, and I can't remember the amount of time they said, but it was quite a long time. I had seen in the past that it was only, they said, hours or days. That was the official word before from the CDC. They said it got shorter if it was exposed to sunlight. Now, with this article, and I haven't checked that source, they were saying it was much longer than that. I thought it was also interesting in that article they mentioned that scientists that were working with this most recent outbreak had, over this last 6 months, identified 100 different strains or mutations within that Ebola virus. So I thought that was pretty amazing. I don't know if that's typical or not. Maybe if we've got somebody who's a medical person, epidemiologist, they could speak to that. But I thought that was an amazing piece of information as well. Thank you. Let's go to Scott in Nebraska. Scott?
Okay, I got 3 questions or statements here. And what if Ebola gets into the water supply, if it has to go through the water systems to get purified out? Mm-hmm. And if this is just payback for the CIA that actually used Ebola to reduce the populations in Africa, is this something Obama is letting in because it's kind of payback? And the other one is, I got a friend of a friend ended up in a park. He was MK Ultra, said that they told him to go shoot up a school. Ended up in a park, woke up, and they had all the magazines loaded for his 9mm.
Wow. Well, you know, in terms of putting it in the water supply, we know that they already do dump toxic substances into the water supply. Fluoride is a class 4 toxic substance. You can see that. We've actually gone to the Austin city water supply here in Austin and taken pictures of it. You can see the corroded pipes. You can see the class 4 right there. That's as high as it goes. We put that in there because, of course, that helps the companies that generate that toxic waste. They don't have to pay a lot of money to dispose of it. They can just dump it into our water. And you know what? Even if you think that fluoride is something that's good for you, if you think that it's medicine that everybody ought to take, when would you ever just dump medicine into the water supply? You can't control the dosage. So people are going to get under-medicated. They're going to get over-medicated. You don't have the same kind of dosage for a child that you have for an adult. So it makes absolutely no sense to add that to the water supply. In terms of what's going on in Africa, I think it's very interesting and noteworthy that the U.S. military didn't even have an AFRICOM, an Africa Specialty Command. They didn't even have that until 2007. I think it's also interesting to note that Bilderberg in 2013, amongst their biggest topics that they said they were going to be talking about, big data that came out before the Snowden break. And then the other one was Africa. You know, they'd like to get those resources in Africa, but they don't want to look like they're neo-colonialists. So, that's another interesting data point right there. Let's go to Tom in Connecticut. Tom.
Good day, David.
Hey, how you doing?
Pleasure talking to you. I was going to talk about Ebola. I know that a government won't allow something to happen unless they feel at the highest levels that they can manage it. And it's my belief, and I've talked to some people who are still associated with that, are connected with the government. They've said that the Ebola coming here is essentially almost like a pesticide, and the pesticides being applied to the pest, and those pests are us.
Oh, absolutely.
It's their belief that they have an immunity to it, either through vaccinations or whatever, and that they're not worried about Ebola coming here. They basically want to get rid of us, and this is one of the reasons why they may be just testing it with Ebola, kind of a weak strain, but they're trying to test it with us. But that was one of the comments that I talked to some of my friends about, and they really feel that this is staged in the sense of they know it. They know that. I mean, the people that have the cavalier attitude about Ebola coming here, just by watching their behavior, it just seems like they're not concerned about catching it, and so
absolutely. I'm going to have a report tonight in the Nightly News about the Gaia theory. And, of course, this is something that came from a British scientist, Lovelock. And in that, they openly say that the human population is an infection on Mother Earth. They see Mother Earth as a living organism. It's kind of a pagan view. They even name it after the theory after a pagan god. But there are a lot of people of all different stripes that want to see population reduction. There are some individuals who have bought into this silly theory. There's also a lot of people in very high places who have made it very clear that that's exactly what they would want. They see the human population as a virus, and they see Ebola, in many cases, as the cure. They even talk about humans being a cancer on the planet, and they say, you know what we do with cancer, So there's a lot of mentality out there amongst the general population, people who have been sold this idea by some of the elites, and then there are a lot of people in very powerful positions who would like to see population reduction for a variety of reasons. And so they've pursued a variety of strategies to do this. You've got Agenda 21 to control people. You've got birth control, where they want to basically take the population down gradually over a period of time by sterilizing people. And then there's other people who just want to go out and wipe out the population. So there's a lot of different people along that spectrum. I would not discount something like that from ever happening. We've had people, as we pointed out, the scientist here at the University of Texas bragged about that, got a standing ovation from the other scientists there. So there are a lot of people who have the capability to do that would like to do that same thing. Let's move along. I want to go to Dave in Massachusetts. Go ahead, Dave.
Hi, David. Thanks for taking my call. This is regarding Ebola. First, I want to start with the topic of vampirism and the globalists. They seem to be, in a sense, a group of vampires. They feed on life, and they feed on our work, our positivity, and they try and turn it into negative energy.
Well, I think we're out of time. Sorry to the people that we couldn't get to. That's it for today. Join us tonight on the Nightly News at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Stopping this disease won't be easy, but we know how to do it.
Fighting Ebola, the president says a travel ban won't work. So why are so many countries doing it?
A national strike is the answer.
I'm wearing the same shirt I was when I was in the car with that family.
There is zero risk. I said it. There it is. I shouldn't say that. There's no risk.
If there were any risk, I would not expose myself or my family.
A national strike will force Obama and the federal government to secure the borders and stop West African flights.
A travel ban is less effective than the measures that we are currently instituting.
I have a question for you. Do you want to end up like West African countries that are in a stage of panic and total collapse, with the UN estimating that over 1 million people will end up getting Ebola by December? We are calling for a nationwide strike starting next Monday through Wednesday for you to stay home, especially if you're medical workers, police, EMTs that are going to be hardest hit by this, to draw attention to the fact that the federal government is on strike and not doing its default job, allowing these flights to come in. Even the Speaker of the House has said stop the flights. Senator Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Governor Jindal of Louisiana, but not President Obama. He's out defending this. Now remember, it was someone flying in from Africa that brought it here, now spreading to nurses and clearly others. Why do they want it here? To create a bigger crisis, to get more funding, to be a political distraction from all the other scandals. And the new czar, who works for Al Gore previously, who has no Ebola background or experience, no medical training, he's an expert at divvying up tens of billions in funding to insiders to run the Ebola disaster, where literally hundreds of billions could be made, not just on the vaccine, but on the disaster itself. So go to Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com. Get the article with the hashtag #StopEbolaStrike. Send it out on Facebook, out on Twitter. Send our article with the videos of the general warning and others so that people understand we don't have to be powerless and just watch the federal government engage in criminal neglect by design. If you're not essential, folks, or people like myself that have got to be on air, self-quarantine is a test. We'll call it a national strike. Call talk radio, call Congress, call the White House, call media, send out tweets, be an activist Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to fight Ebola and to stop Ebola with the Stop Ebola National Strike. And never forget, if you're watching this transmission, you are the hope, you are the resistance. In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. we are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. DNA Force from InfoWars Life.